Not that I have the answer for you, but that this video can help you understand some of the points of why you're even looking to buy a course. And one thing that I feel like is a huge epidemic right now in the spiritual type manifestation type, world is that people are selling you content and products. And don't forget, you are being sold on content because you have to pay attention. So you're paying them with your energy and your time and your patience and everything else that comes along with that. Even though you're not paying the money to watch a free YouTube video or a free TikTok or a free masterclass, you're paying with your attention, which is more valuable than money actually. And people are selling you on content and on products by getting you to believe that you are going to be satiated by the thing that they are selling. So if you buy a course on how to travel across the world, then you're going to have the feeling of being able to travel across the world. And that is what is going to satiate you, right? That's the reason why you would buy the course. Now, in this video, I'm going to break down a lot of aspects, and this video will be long, breaking down a lot of aspects in self-trust, in really what you should be more so focusing on, why you're never satiated, and probably why this is the 15th course that you're trying to purchase, and you keep making different leaps. And instead of quantum leaping, right, which is the manifestation term of getting to a better place in life and transmuting into a different personality and a different person, a different identity, instead of transforming into who you actually want to be, you just keep running the rat race down here and you never actually quantum leap. You are being entertained by this thing that you think you're being educated by. So I'm going to cover edutainment as well, because that is a big thing. And I don't want this video to be a 1 2 3 4 5 step how to never buy a course again. I want it to more so be a guide that you can come back to, that can help you answer some of the questions that you may have lingering in your mind. Now, the main reason why I'm making this video is because I also want to make a big exclamation that this channel is not for the people who are supposed to be, this channel is not necessarily for people who want the answer, not for people that, hey, in the chat, thank you for commenting. It's not for people who want answers. It's for people who are looking to learn. It's for people who are looking for knowledge. It's not for people who have an issue and they're looking for an issue. Hi, everybody in the chat. And the biggest problem is that you think that when you're understanding information, watching information, that you're actually gaining education from it and learning a different skill. What you're learning about is actually the opposite. You're learning how to lose trust in yourself. And when you're being sold on that idea, on that product, on that person, you're no longer in the mindset of guidance. You're in the mindset of getting an answer. And there is no human on this earth who can give you an answer. And that's why building self-trust is so important. For everyone asking what the live is about, I would recommend that when this live goes live, or you just watch from the beginning, because I have a lot to get through in this video, and I don't want to continue to like repeat what I'm talking about. For the people who are going to watch this on the replay, I think that'll make it kind of confusing for them. So the first thing is that if you're buying another course, right, this video is about why are you continuing to spend money and getting continuously sold into the idea that someone has the solution for you. The only reason that you would be doing that is because you do not trust yourself. Now, self-trust is not something that is like bought in a store. It's not something that you just go to church and now you trust in everything. It's not that you find one spiritual person and you believe in it and that's it. It is a forever evolving process. And I think a lot of people miss that, kind of goes over their head, at least for the spiritual ones that want to investigate, life. And human life and thoughts and psychology want to explore those things, because there are very much people on the earth that do not care, that do not care to learn about life. They do not care to learn more about themselves, about other people, about spirituality, about God, about the earth, about dimensions, about any of that. They don't care. But for the people who do care, you cannot continue searching for solutions. Why? Because every single solution that is given by a human is based off of that human's experience. And if you're going to take some human's experience and say, this is going to work for me too because it worked for them, instead of taking it as an example for, oh my gosh, this thing exists and I can go towards this thing and I can maybe achieve this thing, and and just using it as an example that it exists, that's where you lose the trust in yourself, because you're instead of looking at it as a inspiration, as a motivation to do something better with yourself, you're using it as a meter of success, a parameter of success, and you want to follow exactly what they're doing. And you start to ask really bad questions. And that is one of the biggest things, is if you are starting something new, a new hobby, a new course, a new this, a new that, or new whatever, a new spiritual journey, whichever, and you continue to do that over and over and over, and you're not asking good questions, you're always going to get a bad result. And good questions are questions that are feedback based. So when you say, what do you believe in? What should I do? What course should I buy? What do I need? When you let people tell you what you need, you do not trust yourself. And I'm going to give an example. There was a course that I was taking because it was teaching more about business and et cetera, et cetera. Because I am not coming from the perspective of a like normal, average thinking human, I'm going into it knowing this does not have my solution. Whatever money that I paid to go get this information, to go in this course, whatever investment I make is not specifically a return on investment on the information. It is a return on investment in what I'm investing, which is simply to get access to the information. So the person who's teaching the class is simply teaching whatever they want to teach, whatever they've told me that they want to teach, and I have subjected myself to listening to it. And then of course there is a upsell of like, get into this other course and we teach you more and more and more. And I was on a call with someone and they told me, hey, yeah, I've done all the courses, and what you learn in the one that you took doesn't teach you anything. Actually, it actually teaches you absolutely nothing. And so you paid like a lot of money to learn nothing. And that rubbed me the wrong way, because these people actually call themselves Christian. They call themselves as Christian people. Like that's part of their business model, is that they are Christian people. And they are selling you based on the edutainment. Now, because I'm entering this space knowing that I'm not a person looking for a result, I'm just a person interested in the product you have to offer. There's nothing that you can give me that will not suffice, because I'm not looking for a specific solution. And that's where self-trust starts, is not looking for a specific solution. If you start looking for a specific solution, then everything, you'll actually start to obsess over the information you're getting. And most of the stuff that you're getting is going to be edutainment, which is content that you're watching thinking that you're getting educated and that you're learning something, when really you're just filling up your brain with all the information that they feel like giving to you. And because it may be something that you've never seen before, a course you've never heard of, it's something that seems so like, oh my gosh, this is the answer, right? It seems like the solution, that you feed into it. And then you're like, okay, well, they said if I take this course, I'm going to make sales in my business, and I want to make sales in my business, so I'm going to go get this course. The root problem is not that you're buying courses and that you're trying different careers and that you're doing all these different things. The root is that you're entering wanting a solution. And the reason why you want that solution is because you want to be satiated in whatever desire you want. So that's like making the sales, making the whatever. The problem is making the sales is not the thing that you want. What do you want and desire from the sales? Maybe that is time freedom or the money because you can use it to pay for bills. If you are going into something like a course because it's promising it's going to help you make money so you can pay those bills, you're entering in under the wrong pretense. And I actually wrote something down here. It's like when you enter with when you enter something unsatiated, you will leave unsatiated. And this is what I mean. Every product you buy, every person you speak to, every whatever is simply just another branch off of your current journey. It is not leading you to a path. Your path is your own, whether you like it or not. There is no one, point blank, no one on the earth who can tell you what you are supposed to be doing in your own life. You're simply following certain guidances that are leading you to different people so that you can think differently, act differently, be different, do different, so that you can get to whatever you want to in life. So maybe that's like buying a course on this business stuff or whatever so that you can know more about business. But that person isn't necessarily leading you to your exact desire. You're still on your own path. And when you enter, and when you don't realize that you're on your own path and everything outside of you, including my channel, including me, I'm just a person who is on the internet sharing specific things that have happened to me, how I got through them, specific ways that I navigate life, how I integrate spirituality and God and self-trust and everything else into my life, and also everything that I'm currently doing in my life, basically. But I am not the end-all be-all answer for anything. If you have a question about something, you ask good questions to get a good answer to your question. So if I'm talking about the subconscious mind and this and that, and you come on my live and you want to talk to me more about the subconscious mind, I'm not going to give you a 1, 2, 3 answer. I'm not like a chest or like a treasure chest of answers, nor is anybody on this planet. Your parents, your step-parents, your brother, your sister, your uncle, your aunt. There's nobody, your pastor, nobody on this earth is going to be able to give you self-trust. And the only reason that you keep feeding into all these different things, and like at one point you were Christian, then another point you're spiritual, then at another point you're doing both, and then at another point you're doing this, and you're like completely atheist, and now you're doing this and that. Like when I see people fluctuate like that, it's not of judgment. I don't really necessarily care because I have my own life. But when I see that, it just shows me again, like it's just a physical representation of the fact that when you don't have self-trust, you kind of just flow with the wind. And when you have self-trust in the one source that you believe in, when you're anchored into one source that you believe in, you kind of have so instead of flying through the wind, you kind of have hang gliders on. Is that what they're called? Like the wings that help you to, literally they're called hang gliders, that help you glide through the sky. So when you're flowing through the wind and you're just being pushed here, pushed there, depending on wherever the wind flows, you may end up on the left side and you want to be over here, but you end up over here, you end up too far over here, you end up over here, and you just are going in circles and you're never ending. It's never ending and you're never being satiated. But when you have one particular source that is anchoring you where you are, but you have hang gliders so that you can literally glide with ease through the air. You're not being pushed and pulled and everything else. It's just the same thing as when you let a balloon go free. It just goes wherever it wants to. But when you fly in a plane, the plane is going to go in the exact direction to the 100th degree to exactly where it's supposed to go, because planes have the apparatus to go through the air like that, and that is the hang gliding mechanism of having the wings. That, you know, the air pressure is low underneath the wings but high above the wings, and that is how it flies in the air because of friction. And so it's so important to see your life as that as well, is that it's not a one answer fits all. It's not watch Kai Dreams Big video and all of her stuff is going to lead me to the answer. I hope that at this point of you watching all my videos that you're not looking at me as a solution. I'm not the solution. I'm simply just a space, a safe space for conversation. And that's exactly what I want to be. I want to make videos that are living and breathing. I want to make living videos on my channel that people can watch, comment on, and that guide you through your own self thought. But I'm assuming that you're watching my videos under the pretense that you do need to trust in something. Because at one point in my life, I was doing that, right? And it's not right or wrong. You're supposed to do whatever you're doing. But I was flowing through the air just with every single belief that someone had. I was also taking on that belief. And as soon as someone like does one thing, I'm like, oh, well, their life looks like that. Let me go do that. And then I'm like, oh, well, I don't want to do that. So I switch over here. And you just flow back literally as you're flowing through the wind. And I know I'm not the only person who has dealt with that before and the only person that feels like that, because I know that's not how life works. If there's one of me, there's at least 100,000 other people that feel that same way. And this channel is a place for people to, not this channel, because I'm recording this on a separate YouTube channel until I hit 50 subscribers on my Kai Dreams Big page. Then I can go live on my phone there. And we're very, very close. I think we're like 10 away, 10 subscribers away, which is really, really cool. And I am excited. And the main thing is that you need to have some sort of anchor. And if you are continuously buying courses, you're continuously feel like you're being sold and sold into something, what I really want for everyone to develop, because it feels so good for me to have that, is that even when I go to church, or even when I'm listening to a spiritual video, or even when I'm listening to someone and talking to a friend or a parent or someone that is a pastor or whoever I'm talking to, I can enter a conversation with a basis of self-trust because I know where my anchor is. My anchor is not in trying to find answers. My answers have already been satiated by the source that I believe in. And it's less of me plus that source plus all the other things that I want to do, right? In my channel before, I think I've talked about, you know, the satiation part of it, where it's more of like, I love spirituality, but I also love God, but I also love, this self-trust journey, but I also love this, I also love that. I believe that all of them coexist, but not in the same hierarchy. I think it is the source that you choose to believe in, right? The anchor of belief that you have, which is the filter for everything that you hear. And if you hear something that aligns with the source that you believe in, then you can take in that, implement it, or integrate it into your life. And then once you integrate it, all the rest of the things come underneath, which is like the spirituality and the church going and the this and the that, and like listening to people online and all the edutainment stuff that we talked about earlier. All of that content, all of that comes into play. But you must have a self-trust and a self-knowing. And I think it's very, very dangerous for people who are, I wouldn't even say younger, because I know older people that think like this as well. But I think it's very dangerous for you to be going through your life not having one singular source, because it means that you can be touched and you can be persuaded and you can be persuaded and convinced by everything around you. Imagine a life where every single person you talk to, their beliefs attached to you, and you went on with your life with part of those beliefs. Now, how confused would you be at the end of a week if you consciously, like every time you got a belief from someone, you wrote it down, and by the end of the week, you had a whole book full of stuff that you're like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do with all these beliefs? But that's what we do. Like, do you not understand that your subconscious mind is literally picking attaching, absorbing every single piece of information that you listen to. And that's why I made that video on my channel where I talked about, I was going to make a video about something on finances in regards to parents, and it's already posted. But when I originally was writing out the outline for that idea, I re-looked at it, and I was like, I need to update the filter in which my video ideas go through, because if somebody who is upset at their parents watches this video upset about, their parents not teaching them financial literacy, this person could have a broken relationship with their mom or with their dad or with whoever in their life because of the rhetoric I'm spreading. And I do not ever want to spread a rhetoric that is going to lead people to more harm. I would much rather it be for people who are looking for that hope, and they want more questions, not easy solutions, essentially. And so in that video, I think it was so important that I touched on the fact that I don't want anyone to think of what I'm doing as an answer. And I have a lot of people in my life that kind of look at me as like the one all be all, like she knows everything and she just like has the answer to everything. And it's very true. I do have an answer for everything, just like everybody else. If I asked you like a question, you could come up with an answer. It doesn't have to be true or not. You don't actually have to believe it or not. Everybody has an answer to something. Everything can be convinced or persuaded upon you. Do you understand that? Like, I have this pen here. 50% of people don't need the pen. Let me cover that logo. 50% of people don't need a pen, and the other 50% do need a pen. But does that change the fact about the pen? It absolutely does not. It's just like, if I'm here to spread the rhetoric of pens are bad, I'm going to say everything that's wrong about pens. Oh, they write permanently, and you should only use a pencil because you want to be able to erase because of the creative journey of writing, right? And you need to be able to erase what you're doing and fix mistakes. And I could find evidence for that argument. But on the other side, if you need a pen, I can say, you know what? Pens actually give you the most reliable experience because it's ink, and ink actually lasts longer than a lead pencil. So if you get a pen, you're actually having a higher investment because it's something that's more durable, and it also lasts longer because the ink, like, do you understand that there's an argument for all sides? So if there's an argument for a pen, what do you think there is in life? There's an argument, a persuasion, a convincing angle for everything. So it doesn't mean that what you go, like when you're going through life, that everything you're hearing is true or false. You're simply hearing one side of the coin. If there's someone out here preaching God, there's someone out here preaching against the word of God. If there's someone out here talking about spirituality and tarot cards, there's another person saying tarot cards are evil and they're the devil and don't worry about spirituality. And then if you're talking to someone about meal prepping, they're like, oh, like meal prepping is the worst thing you can do for your body and blah, 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 blah. But if I'm for meal prepping, I would tell you why it's the best thing ever. That's literally one of the first things you learn in elementary or middle school, and it's reiterated every year of your education. I even know when I was taking college classes way back in the day, like 5 years ago, 6 years, probably 6 years ago at this point, when I was taking college courses that many years ago, I was still reinforcing the same rhetoric of persuasive essays. We were writing persuasive essays, and you would get a prompt, and guess what you do? I think every single American child has had the same experience. You know, you get the prompt, and then you have to find an argument for it, and the teacher would say, whether you believe it or not, you need to have a really great argument. That was supposed to expose in a lot of us that we're always going to have both sides of the story. If I'm wearing earrings right now, there's some person on the earth that's like, earrings that are hoops, they damage your ears and they do this and that, and it actually gets all these metals absorbed into your skin, into your bloodstream, and it's actually doing more harm, and by the time you turn 50, your ears are going to be droopy. Then there's some person on the earth that's like, wow, wearing earrings, it actually boosts your confidence, and it adds a specific flair, and people actually pay more attention to you when you wear earrings. Which one is true? Which one is not? Both of them can be true. It doesn't really matter. So that's what I mean when I say having an anchor of truth, is because if you don't have a truth on whether you need a pen or not, if you don't have a truth on whether you like earrings or not, when you hear someone's rhetoric, you're going to automatically believe it. And when you automatically believe it, now that is the thought, that is the foundation of that belief in you. And so you go the rest of your life thinking the rhetoric that you were given. If the first thing I hear is pens are bad, only use pencils, I have no control over the fact that my subconscious mind now has that tied to the idea of pens. So anytime somebody comes around me, that's the rhetoric I'm going to enact off of. Anytime I hear any more information, that's the information that's like the filter that I put that information through. Same thing for earrings. If I believe from a very young age that earrings are bad, I know people have seen people that their parents taught them earrings were bad. On the other hand, I had my ears pierced when I was like a few months old, and that's like what you do in my culture. Like that's just the thing, right? So I grew up always wearing earrings. I've never not had ear piercings. And I've actually had up to 6 on all of my ears actually. Altogether, I had 6 piercings on my ears at one point because I've always grown up with that rhetoric. When there's some people that are literally out here teaching their children wearing earrings are bad, for whatever reason they want to pull out of the hat. Now, which one is right or wrong, it doesn't really matter. But since I've grown up, every time I hear something about jewelry or earrings, I have a rhetoric that I put it through because I have that thought about it already. So what I'm trying to get at here is if you don't have self-trust in what you're doing is right or wrong, you will always be swayed. And I had someone ask me a question yesterday or today, maybe yesterday, about something completely different. I'm not going to go into the specifics because it doesn't really matter in this instance, but they were saying that like, oh, what do you recommend for XYZ? And I'm like, that's a terrible question, because if you ask me that question, it really there is no answer to your question. What's a better way of asking is asking, okay, well, how do I choose what's best? What's some criteria you can give me? What's some parameters you can give me? And that is what builds self-trust. And I think the difference, I made a video on this too, but the difference between strategy and skill is that when you have strategy, anybody can have strategy. A strategy is a plan of action, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, do this in order, and this is what you get out of life. What a lot of parents and people fail to do is teach whoever's around them the skill that they need. And skill in life, the skill of life is self-trust. And where does self-trust come from? Being fully satiated in what you're doing, that you're on the right path. And how do you get that? By being anchored into one thing. I talked about this before also in a separate video, when I go through things, I make videos on it, and that's why I have a video already posted for everything I'm talking about, because I've already went through all of it. And I only talk about things that I go through, unless I'm posing a question. But I made a video talking about why, when you're learning manifestation, you're learning, all this stuff, that it's important to have one source. And I was talking about like having one content creator that you really love, who you really want to center into their beliefs, because when you're watching 15 different people, you're putting 15 different thoughts, 15 different angles, 15 different perspectives, 15 different ideas into your head, 15 different values, 15 different types of principles. Do you understand how damaging that is to want to learn one thing, one specific desire, and you're stuffing your brain with 15 different angles of that one thing? Well, you would think, okay, if I have more than one angle, it leads me to like where I'm trying to go. That's what comes after you implement strategy. So you follow one thing to build trust in a strategy. And when it starts working, then you build skill. You build skill by saying, my firm foundation, perfect. I've anchored into one thing. This thing works for me. And then you build the skill by repeating that strategy over and over and over. That's skill, because you learn the troubleshooting. That's where navigating life comes from. So you don't navigate life because every time I have a problem with someone in my life, I call my pastor and I say, Pastor, I just need an answer, blah, 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 blah. And he tells me what to do, and I hang up the phone and I go do it. Now, how many times can I call my pastor? He's married, he has a life, he runs a church, he has to practice sermons, he has thousands of things to do all week, and answering my phone calls is not one of those things. So it's the same thing of like, you wouldn't try to navigate life by having one person that you can call. You would want to find out how to fish for yourself instead of asking someone to bring you fish. You're like, okay, well, every time I ask you for fish, there's either a delay or like something's not right. So I'm going to go learn how to fish for myself. And that is the skill. So when somebody teaches you how to fish, that's the strategy. When somebody teaches you about how to be anchored into something, that is the strategy, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps. And then when you finally anchor into it, you've done it long enough and it works for you, because all strategies work. This is also the other point. Like, this video has so many different angles and it's really raw in my mind. So I will definitely make specific versions to answer more questions and to open up conversation even more. But that's literally the other part of it, is like, this is just so deep. Yeah, that's another part of it. And so you never want to kind of enter somebody's atmosphere without knowing what you're trying to get out of it. And that's how we're also kind of hoaxed. We're kind of like faked out of the solution we want, because when we hear, hey, this thing is what gets you this, because that's how you market, right? You say, I'm a person who knows how to get fit. If you're not fit, listen to what I'm saying. This could help you. But most people are not going under the, like, understanding it or listening to it from the rhetoric that they need to understand it based on their principles. They're already anchored trust in something. And so every strategy works. But listen, if you are trying to get this one desire and every strategy works, then the 15 strategies you're slapping in your mind, your brain is confused. It's like, which strategy do we do? Do we do all the strategies? And then you're just confused and you start to ask really bad questions that you can't get feedback on. The best questions that you can ask are feedback-based questions. If you're asking a question, even on my videos, and you're asking it with a yes or no answer intended, or you're asking it with the solution in mind and not a mindset shift in mind, I already know. And that's why I answer certain questions on my channel the way that I do, because I know the people who are asking yes or no questions and the people that are asking kind of like black and white questions, they're asking very like plain, no feedback necessary for the answer. I know that they're asking questions from the point of getting a solution. Those are the people that have been watching videos. Like, I'm probably the 50th manifestation video they watched that day. That's how I know. You know how I know? Because I literally did it. So I'm not saying any of this is wrong. I'm just saying it's a thing that all of us kind of go through, and then you realize, okay, well, now I've completely messed up my brain with all these different thoughts. And that's why you hear people say like, oh, when you're learning something or when you're like ready to reset, you take like a break, you take a social media detox, you like go and isolate somewhere for a month, or like you cut all of something off or whatever. And the reason why we do that is because it allows our subconscious to release, like it releases the grip off of the thing that we thought was giving us the answer. So if you thought life was happy because of your certain career, but then you like are like, oh wait, I don't like that career. You put all your anchoring into a job. Now you don't like that job. Now who are you? Now, if you had anchored into one specific belief, one specific source, then when you have questions about your job, you don't say, who am I? You say, okay, what's next? Because this actually aligns very well with my source of information, because this is exactly what's supposed to happen next. And then you go from there. So it's not questions to other humans, because humans cannot satiate. I made a satiation video too, about specifically on food, my one of my last videos. But what are some other notes that I have? So yeah. And also the other thing about the edutainment is that you're not supposed to focus on what you're learning. And when I say focus, I mean focus on it in the wide scheme of like material things. If you're learning something, you should not be watching videos on it all day. You should not be watching TikToks on it all day. You should not be whatever with it all day. You should get what you need, the materials in front of you, and pick one strategy and do it. That's the fastest way. There's two things that I've mastered. There's hundreds of things, but there are two material skills, high income skills that I have mastered. How did I master them? When I look back at it, I cut off every single source of education or edutainment, right? I cut off every single source because I'm like, well, none of these people are giving me my answer. And that's when I start to ask better questions. I realize none of these people have the answer to the question I have because I'm asking really good questions. But everybody who's making videos is answering yes or no questions. And I don't have a yes or no question. I actually have a feedback-based question because I'm doing the thing. You will never have a feedback-based question if you're not doing the thing. You get the materials in front of you and you say, okay, this is what I'm doing. Like the same thing for a YouTube channel. You can watch videos all day from hundreds of different people. How to go viral, how to do this, how to do that, how to do this. But when you're watching all these videos, now when you go to sit in front of your computer, you don't even know what to do. But if you would stop, if you cut off all those videos that you're watching how to go viral, and you just said, you know what, this is what I want to make a video on, and you just kept doing it. Again, the strategy, like there's only one strategy to YouTube. You make YouTube videos. Like there is no algorithm strategy to make your videos go more, like there are like things you could do with your title, your thumbnail, your whatever, blah, blah, blah. Those are all self-satiation things that don't anchor in trust. If you trust yourself that your videos are going to be good, you don't have to try to make them go viral. You don't have to try. That's again the self-satiation in the trying process. I just made a video on that too yesterday about what it means to be in a trying process and what it means to actually have the thing that you're trying to get. And so I made a video on that because the trying process is not so like we've as a society we got to the point where we think that the trying process is the thing we're supposed to keep doing. Like we're supposed to be building our skill through repeating a strategy over and over and over, which is get on your have an idea, write it down, have some points, have an outline, get on YouTube, make the video, post the video. That's the strategy. Instead, you're watching 1,000 videos when if you posted weekly or daily or every 3 days for a year on your channel would receive more organic growth than if you kept following all these random people. Because one, like I said, I think probably this is the fourth time I said it, people cannot satiate. When you watch my content, you're watching this for either you're trying to be edutained, which means you think I have a solution to your problem, when really I just have maybe a unlock to the next path of something that you may be thinking about, and you're really interested in the subconscious mind and you've been going on that own path, so you watch all my subconscious mind videos and you're like, oh wow, I actually really like how that goes, and then you put it through your filter and you say, does this stuff match the anchoring I have in source, who's the only thing who can satiate me? And then you say, okay, I'm gonna follow what this girl's saying, I'm gonna kind of like tweak my strategy to this thing, and that's where the skill comes from. It's literally a easy outline of framework. You find trust in yourself by following source, and you repeat the strategy over and over and over. And then when you hear other people talking about it, when you finally built your foundation, then you may bring in other sources. But the beauty of it all, after all that talking, the beauty of it all is that when you get your strategy down, because every strategy works, and you get a strategy down between you and source, you don't need any other thing. Oh my gosh. So you don't need the videos, you don't need the people, you don't need the thing. And that's really where the beauty comes from the people. I believe that the people who are really, really successful in what they do They didn't use someone else to get there. They had one source. They had one aunt, one uncle, one parent, one idea, one strategy, and they said, I'm gonna do it. And they weren't open to the idea that they were supposed to take in more information. Like, people that are learning something from the internet were like, oh, we have 5 content creators teaching us about business. Let me pick one. Let me binge all their content and then pick the best one. When if you just picked one and you went with it, it would work. It would work, because all strategies work. But the point is, again, to wrap back around to the first point of this video, is that the thing that you're getting the course for is not going to satiate you anyways. Like, getting the sales in your business is not going to satisfy your soul. Getting like the desire of the whole thing, or like learning a skill, is not gonna fill the hole in your heart anyways. It's like you're still gonna be sad or depressed or whatever. So entering into a course or an ideology or whatever you want to enter it already satiated. If you're not satiated in what you're doing in that thing, don't enter it. Point blank. I have one high income skill out of the many that I have, but one of them I took a course for. The first course I took was almost a decade after I learned it. Almost a decade. I'm only 23, so I've been doing this thing for a very long time. A decade after I learned it, I took a course on it, and the course was absolutely trash. I could have got my hundreds of dollars back and went on a nice shopping spree. But I said, no, every investment is worth something, because I'm not here working off the trust of me or other people. I'm working off the self-trust that I have anchored with my source, which is God. So when I take this course and I'm like, oh, this course sucked, I get to say that and move on peacefully, because I already have trust built in my skill in that thing. I'm not watching that course or that, this is so important, I'm not watching the course or that thing like, oh my gosh, I'm doing all these things wrong. Oh my gosh, everything they're saying is the opposite of what I'm doing. I'm actually listening through all their words, and like, that doesn't work for me. That doesn't work for me. Ooh, I like that idea. That's kind of fun. That's kind of innovative, but it doesn't align with what God is saying about me and my life and kind of how it goes. So I'm going to push that to the side. Like, that's how it's a literal filter. And so if you enter into something without the idea of it being something that is going to satiate that, if you enter into something new without the idea of already having trust in it, you're going to be swayed like you're just flowing through the wind and you don't have no hang gliders on. So the one thing I would say to people who feel like they're constantly being thrown between this course and that course and this course, and going to school and taking this course and like learning this skill, learning that skill, and they're, especially with TikTok, you scroll 4 times and you have 4 different, someone's telling you like, you need to become a football coach, you need to be like this, you need to be cooking, you need to be a parent, you need to have children now, you need to get married now. Like, there's so many different ideas on the internet. The only way you'd be able to watch TikTok, YouTube, and whatever with a sound mind and close the app and still feel okay with your life is having an anchor in trust in yourself and in the one thing that you believe in. There's no way that you're gonna not have trust in your life and then watch a ton of TikToks giving you all these great ideas, selling you on all these different content ideas and all this stuff that's gonna help your business and all this stuff is gonna bring you money. And then you buy into it, not having the trust, you're swaying through the wind. And even if you get that thing at the end of the road, you do get the money, you do get the sales, that stuff doesn't satiate anyways. Do you see how that's like a loop of just like ridiculousness? And that's why I'm so happy with my life, because God has really showed me, like, my life has been a perfect plan of everything I was supposed to learn, exactly what I'm supposed to learn it. But I've also seen looking back, hindsight, at some things that I've done in my life where I'm like, wow, I didn't even know that I was that young implementing, impressing my mind with this information. And now I literally can't act outside of that information because that is so deeply ingrained in my brain. And so I have to choose between, do I rewire my mind, right? This goes back to the subconscious. Do I rewire and get rid of all those thoughts about that thing? Or do I just say, you know what, I actually do trust in that thing, and I did really deeply wire my brain in it, and I'm going to operate from that point and stop watching so much other stuff. There's so many points in this video that are just so good. And again, like doing the thing is what gets you to your desire. Like if you want to have a business, it's like your trust in yourself, and really the trust in yourself is that you trust in that one source. Whatever the source is, there has to be something higher than you that you can surrender to. In the process of surrendering to that thing, God or whatever other source you believe in, if you surrender to that, now you have self-trust. Not from you and everyone around you. You have self-trust in the fact that you trust that source. So every time you have an issue, you're not going to people to be satiated. You're going back to the source that gives you strength, or that gives you knowledge, or gives you whatever you believe in. Right? I'm not here to knock people's beliefs, because I think all beliefs are what create this beautiful world that we live in. And if there was not billions of beliefs, I wouldn't have anything to talk about, because I wouldn't have so many different things going on in my brain. I wouldn't have been exposed to so many things. If our world was just bland one layer thoughts, I don't even believe that everyone should be Christian, or everyone should be spiritual, or everyone should be this. Like there has to be the opposite existing. There are super spiritual people who believe in that. There's people that work in that with source, but there's also people that just receive that information. And there's like so many different levels to what you believe and what people can believe. And that's where I think the beauty actually comes from. I don't believe that everyone should be Christian. And there's this epidemic going around too, that content creators are turning Christian. And I genuinely don't necessarily like it. I love that people are Christian, but I don't like that you found God and everything that you did in the past is now like you're deleting every video. You're like fully like only talking about him, because at some point you're gonna want to actually live life. Like you don't get a golden sticker or a cookie from God because all you did is sit in the house and read the Bible. Like you don't get a golden cookie because all you did is spread the word of God, but you were in the house all the time and you never talked to actual people, or you never lived your life. Like you're supposed to also live. And I think when people realize that, like, yeah, I get to have a source, but I also get to live. How do I live through this human vessel if I'm supposed to be having a source? And that is where the self-trust comes in. You surrender your vessel to that one source, and that is how it flows through you. And yeah, like nothing on this channel is necessarily right or wrong information. It's literally just one side of the coin that I've experienced. So when I in the one side that I strongly believe in, and I think that, let's just say there's 10 beliefs in total, right? Whatever, there's more than that, but let's say there's 10 beliefs, and I believe the head of 5 of them, and I believe the tails of the other 5. If you're a person that resonates with my content, you're likely gonna also believe in the heads, these same 5 heads of these same beliefs, and also believe in the same 5 tails of the other set of beliefs. And I personally believe that's how it works, is that people that are going through the same thing as you are going to resonate to the content that you're making, and hopefully they don't find your content and use you as a solution. They use you as literally use you as like a search engine. They're like, oh, I wonder what she believes about this thing. And I want to have a conversation. I want to have a dialogue. And that's what this channel is more so about. It's like sharing my actual things, but it's never like, I'm never making a video so that you can exactly follow it, even though if you wanted to, you could. I want you to more so be like, wow, that's how she did it. You can see it all laid out and how it happened for me, and you can filter that through your beliefs. Because I don't believe that anything you do will be satiated, in that if you enter into something, enter knowing it's not going to satiate you, enter knowing it's not a solution, enter knowing you don't get anything out of it other than what you want to get out of it and other than what's supposed to come of it. And every investment is not wasted. And it's like, back in the day, if I took a course and I didn't feel like I got anything out of it, I would be like, hey, can I go get a refund? And I would get my refund. But then you take that same money and you invest it into something else that didn't work for you. Now, how many times are you going to be able to get that refund? Or how many times are you going to keep going through that cycle? At some point, you're just going to let the money be the money. And that's why I think it's also just so important that you don't enter into something under the pretense that is the solution. You look to your source for a solution. And that's another thing when people ask me questions and I'm just like, what do you mean? What do I suggest? Like, I can't give you a yes or no one-off answer. That feels bad to me, to give you a one-off answer, knowing that it's so much broader than that. Like, who are you dealing with? Who are you around? What are you actually looking to do? Like, there's more questions to be asked. And I think that giving people one-off answers and just answering people is the problem. Like, there are a lot of manifestation people who would like do a live session or whatever, and instead of plucking people's brains to see what questions they should be asking, they'll be like, oh yeah, do this to manifest, do that to manifest, do this, do that. And like, that can be me sometimes too, where I'm just like, yeah, just do this and do that. But I have to remember that it's more so about getting you to think differently and rewire whatever's going on in your brain, to go back to building self-trust and to block out the noise. Like, if you're gonna just listen to me, then just listen to my content. If you're gonna listen to them, just listen to their content and don't come on my page. Not to say you can't, I mean, you can literally do whatever you want, but I'm saying that if you haven't already built self-trust in manifestation, in spirituality, you don't already have your beliefs, you haven't taken a step back from all the other like things on the internet, and you haven't just sat and thought about how your life looks, what you want your life to look like, and you haven't had that deep conversation with source, with yourself, with the reality of it all, and you just keep impressing yourself, like, and imprinting all this information over and over and over, you're never gonna get to the point where something works for you. And that's the beauty of it, is that when you have a YouTube channel or a TikTok or this or that, we know what people are coming for. People are coming for a solution. So if we can shape a video to give you like the bare bones, like kind of like not the bare bones, but the bare minimum of a solution, people are satiated with that. People are satiated with that. They're like, oh, okay, these are the 5 things I should do. These are the 10 things I should do. These are the 7 things I should do. People are satiated with that. But I had to get out of the mindset of satiating people and impressing that rhetoric and reinforcing that rhetoric that you can be satiated by what I'm saying, and pretty much get people to think about the skills that they should much rather be entertained by. And they should be much rather, what is it called? Like, priority. Putting priority in your skill, not in strategy. Because you're searching the whole internet of how to do this, how to do that. When God is literally within you, you don't need any of that. If you want to watch content, if you're being led to listen to content, God speaks through people, source speaks through people. You get ideas and information and values and principles and just a beautiful, full life by talking and communicating and listening to other people. But that is not what actually brings you satiation. That's just the cherry on top. Like, the actually getting the success, actually making something work, actually getting all that is what happens after. So before you buy another course, are you already Do you already have a basis of what that thing means to you? And if you don't, you may have been sold into something. And you're gonna start to not be sold into things when you hear the ideas and you hear the desires that you may get and you hear all these things. You're gonna now filter it through what you actually believe. And you're like, do I actually need this thing? Like, is this, am I going into this thing with the idea that it's a solution? I shouldn't do it. If I'm entering this thing thinking this is my end all be all, then I'm not gonna do it. But if you're entering under the satiation, if you're already satisfied, you're going to leave satisfied. So before you buy the next course, satisfy yourself by trusting fully in one source, picking one strategy of your plan of action on how to live your life, and live your life like that. And you're probably not going to want the individual skills that people have after that. And you're gonna more so stop wanting to be educated on things because you're like, well, this education doesn't help because I already have my basis. I already have my foundation. I don't need any more of that. And you notice, like, people that are chefs don't watch people's cooking videos. People who are makeup artists don't watch how to do makeup videos. They might watch a makeup haul once in a while, but they don't engulf themselves in that information. If you're really already spiritual and you already understand spiritual content, you're not going to want to watch spiritual content. That's how you know you're tipping over the edge of it. It's like if you aren't interested in it anymore. Once you learn how to invest your money, you're not going to watch how to invest because you already do it, right? You sat down with the brokerage account, you set up all the stuff, you know exactly what's going on, you already have your strategy, you're just going to keep doing it, build your skill by continuing to do the strategy, and that's how you do it. You would never watch another video. I mean, you may watch something if like you're interested in some one-off topic, but you're never going to spend all day, all night subscribing, watching, viewing, and searching for a solution to your thing because you've already gotten it. If you already have really long hair, really healthy hair, you're not going to watch videos of people going through their journeys and how to get that because you already have it. But if you don't have that desire, that's when you continue to watch videos. But if you do that, you impress your brain with all these different beliefs and different thoughts that the strategy is never concrete. And so you have to choose one thing that you want to go towards and you do it. Like for me, in my hair journey, last year, my idea was to continuously grow out my hair using heat. And then I was like, well, I want to change it. So I did something else. And then I was like, well, I want to focus on products. Did that. Then focus on wigs. Then I did that. Then I want to focus on natural. Did that. Then I focus on this, focus on that. And I fully came around to the idea. Like I said, I literally record these videos when I come to the full transmission of it and I fully have got over the hump. And I was like, that doesn't make sense. How would I know what worked? What if I sticked with the heat for a year or 2 years? That would have worked because every strategy works. If I would have stuck with the natural products for a year or 2 years, that would have worked. So guess what? I said, you know what? F all of it. Don't care. I'm never watching another hair care video. I'm never watching another this video. I'm not watching another how to trim your hair video. I'm not watching another how to braid your hair video. I'm not watching anything because that's all I would do. Watch videos. As soon as I see a video on my timeline, I'm like, now I want to go buy all the products that they are showing and I want to do that. And I would just flow in the wind. Now I have my concrete foundation in what I'm doing. And in 2 years, you will see, you can come back to this video. It's currently November 3rd, 12:15 p.m. Sunday, 2024. In 2 years, people that are watching my channel in 2 years are going to come back to this video, hear me say this and be like, wow, she actually did the thing. She stuck to her strategy and that was it. Because I'm pre-satiated. I was like, watching all these videos does not satiate. Watching all these videos got me flowing through the wind. I'm no longer doing it. Put down. Nope. Going back to source. What am I supposed to be doing? That's what I'm supposed to be doing. That's the one strategy I'm supposed to stick to. Great. Now no longer thinking about it. Great. Perfect. So because I already have that trust, I would never want to watch more videos on it. I would never want to have this education on it. I would never want it, which is literally entertainment, because you're not literally learning anything from all these videos. You're literally just filling your mind, and it's faking you out, thinking that you're learning something. And the point is, you're not supposed to learn. The point is, you're just supposed to grab this little information, this little tidbit, and just enjoy the content, knowing you're already satiated. Knowing you're already satiated. Know and be satiated before you do the thing. So I put my foot down on watching all these videos and looking at all this stuff and what's the problem and all this stuff. And I said, nope, picked one strategy. Perfect. Great. Never have to think about it again. And in some time, I'll reevaluate the strategy as time goes on, but the strategy stays the same. And the only thing that the goal never changes, it's just the, way that you get there. Like, what speed are you walking at? Are we jogging? Are we like taking a break? Like, what are we doing? But the goal never changes. And the strategy never changes. We're never changing tracks. The strategy is the track. The strategy is literally the track with the lines on it. You get in your lane and you go forward. And that's how you build that self-trust. So now in 2 years, I'm speaking it because I know it's going to happen, because it's happened many other times now that I'm looking back on it in my life. When I was looking back at it yesterday / this morning, it's already happened this way so many times. So when I look back in 2 years, I'm like, oh, okay, great. It's another thing. And guess what? And now I get to add that thing to my self-trust. So it's like, yep, when I pick one strategy and I stick to source and I stick to what he says and I stick to this and I reevaluate the one strategy and I stop watching all the other little frivolous videos and this and that and the tips and the tricks and all the things, now I know that I'm self-satiated. Not self-satiated, I'm satiated. Myself is satiated. I'm now satiated is what I mean to say. And you have to be satiated, and then you don't want to watch anything else. So another thing would be like, if you're constantly looking for a way to grow your business, like, when's the last time you genuinely had your own ideas about your business? When's the last time you genuinely thought about your own strategy, what you wanted to do? Like, what worked? What a good question would be, what have you done in the past that worked? That's your strategy. I just literally picked it for you. You're welcome. What has worked in the past? That's your strategy. Stick to it. Literally write it down. Write down your plan of action and continue doing it until it grows and grows and grows and grows. Stop changing the track because you think that you're gaining more miles. You're gaining more distance when you're just changing tracks. You're not gaining distance. You're just moving from side to side. You're taking breaks. You're doing whatever. The goal is still there, but it's going to take you a lot longer if you're constantly being bombarded by all this information. So pick the one thing that's already worked. And when you pick it, then that's great. But again, you need to know what works by just doing the thing. Like, you look at all the things that you've done. Okay, for instance, with the hair, I tried switching out the products. Okay, necessarily work for me. I've tried protective styling. That has really, really worked for me. I've tried the heat styling. That didn't necessarily work. It was kind of damaging. I tried washing it, all these different times. I don't really even know if that really worked because I only did it for a little bit. I've tried this brand. That didn't work for me. So all the other things are still important, right? Remember I said, like, you're going to have source, you're going to have you, but everything else falls under. So like the products you use, the routine you have, all that stuff still matters. It still matters. But the ultimate strategy is you're going to pick one thing to focus on, and then everything else will figure itself out. Do you understand that there's like a pie, and the pie is the strategy, but you had to have a bowl, a spoon, you had to make the crust with the flour and the sugar, and you had to have an oven, and you had to have a fridge, and you had to have like a working oven, and you had to have like the skill to know what recipe to make. You had to have whatever fruit that you wanted to put into the pie, and you had to have all of these like things. You can't have a pie without all those other things, but at the end of the day, we want a pie. And the strategy is we're gonna make the recipe, have a pie at the end of the day. But you didn't have to sit and figure out so deeply, okay, what brand of flour and what this and how much flour do I use? And this recipe saying 1 cup, this one says half a cup, and this one says use apples, and this one says don't use blueberries. And that you would pick one recipe and say, this is my one recipe. And you would keep making the recipe over and over and over until it turned out to exactly what you want it to be. And then you would never look at another recipe again. That's the same thing with family traditions. It's like, why do you think your grandmother knows how to cook that one meal super, super well? Is it because she kept looking at every different recipe and she kept just like reiterating it? No. She picked one recipe, one strategy, and said, all the rest will fall under. So I'm going to start with what I have, what's already worked for someone else or for me. And then I'm just going to work with that. And that's how you really build that skill. And now she can do it without the paper and all the stuff. And now it seems like she's doing it from like literally like a photographic or like telepathic memory or something like that. And it's like she doesn't even have to think about it. That's when you become a master, is when it's automatic. And the only way it becomes automatic is if you can have something that can be automatic. Do you understand that a car works the way that it works because it turns on the exact same way every single time? Every single car has the same mechanism. We have electric, we have this, we have that, but all of them work in the same kind of formation. And you input something and you get out the energy for the car to run. And you have to focus so much less on all like the intricate details and focus just on the strategy. Like, what do you want? What has worked? And pick one thing. And the problem with this is that, okay, if I don't focus on this thing all day, what would I do? The great thing about it is there's so many other things to do. So now that I don't have to focus on the like watching all these videos and nitpicking and writing down all these ideas for hair or for all these different other things, maybe that's manifestation for you. Like, you already know that you're a master manifester. You've already locked in with your source and you know how to navigate through life. You would never watch these videos again. Like, for me, I don't watch any of these videos because I don't need them. I've literally unlocked the navigation to my own life, and that's what I share on my channel. That's why I can sit here for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours and record videos or make 5 or 6 videos in a day. I did that last week. I made like 5 videos in one day, and it felt like it was just pouring out because I don't have a strategy of like, here's how to manifest. Like, it's literally like a strategy that has come from source, and it's all tied in together. It's all like melted in together, that when something happens in my life, I'm not like, oh my gosh, what am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to respond to this person? How am I supposed to do that? Like, I know exactly what I'm supposed to do. And I know what feelings feel like, and I know myself. And that's where the self-trust comes from. Because if you keep making decisions based on self-trust, then it keeps building. Like, if you know that if you, like, let's say you're a lottery like player or whatever, and you keep playing the lottery, and every time you play, you win. It doesn't matter if you win $1 or $2 or $3 or you break even, you always win something. You're always going to have trust in the strategy that you have. You're like, this is what I do. I go and I buy this brand and I put in these numbers, or this is my way to pick numbers, and this is what I do. And even if you lose one, your confidence is so strong because it's so anchored in the strategy you have that you just keep doing the strategy. When you have something that works so well, you don't stray from it. You anchor into it and you say, how do I refine the strategy that I have? Not how do I change the entire strategy? So before you buy the next course, before you invest more money into talking to someone or investing into a coach or investing into a class or investing into whatever, enter into it satiated. Enter into it with the trust in doing something. Do not get sold into it, because you will stop doing that thing. You'll pay $600, $700, $1,000, $2,000, $1,500, $8,000, $20,000, $50,000 for a course, and then you'll never care about it after it happens, because you're not entering satiated. If you enter satiated, you get way more out of it than if you don't. And so build your self-trust, get rid of that edutainment, make sure that you're entering satiated, and understand that no human can satiate you. Everything else is just the cherry on top. And I also think, like, for people that are really, really great in manifestation, or they have their own manifestation channels, they don't watch manifestation content. They're here to share their ideas. They're here to be the pioneers. They're here to, share their morals and values and principles and whatever they want to teach, in whichever way they want to teach. And that's it. They're not engulfing themselves, because they're teaching a skill. They're teaching their strategy. So they can't be out in the streets watching all these different videos. So it's like, think of that one thing in your life that you don't, like, you're like, oh, I wouldn't watch videos on that. Like, you're like, I'm really great with finances. I would never watch a how to fix your budget video, because, like, I got that in the bag. Or you're really great at cooking this one meal. Like, it's kind of disgraceful. It's kind of like disrespectful to think that you would look up a recipe on it. Like, my high income skills that I have, I feel disrespected that someone would think that I would even want to go search up random videos on TikTok about it. Like, why would I do that? Like, I have my whole entire strategy built around something that I've mastered. It's just automatic to me. I don't have to think about it. It just pours out. It just happens. And that's where you change to the automatic, which is why I talk so much about the subconscious mind on my page. Because people who are entering into, like, the spiritual world are trying to get the spiritual result with this mental work. And it's like hitting two bulls, heads hitting each other. It will never work that way. You have to overcome the beliefs and thoughts by getting rid of that foundation that you accidentally built for yourself, or accepting it and using that as a strategy, as I talked about in this video. And the main thing is getting rid of that edutainment. What do you do besides having that edutainment that I talked about earlier? Literally anything else. Anything that you've mastered and that's automatic, think about why you never engage in learning about it. Like, if you learn about it, you're learning about it for fun, not to be educated and to take something away. You're like, you already have your strategy. You already are really good at it. And I know every single one of you who's going to watch this video live or watch it on a replay for the next 20 years on my channel, you have something that you're so automatically good at, you don't even have to think about it. And that's the same way you built it. Rewatch this video and think about how you got so good at that thing. You didn't watch tons of videos, unless you did. That could be the case, because I'm not the end all be all. But I'm saying, for people that resonate with this content, they are most likely gonna have the same beliefs as me, that you probably didn't watch so many videos. You probably had one source of one person telling you what to do, and you never strayed from it, and that was the one strategy you had. Think about it.